Hi, this is my Folio1 reflection. Across the 4 weeks, I explore different ways of making work through observation, tinker, found objects, and discussion of place. I become particularly interested in how other people, objects, environments, and unexpected situations can influence the meaning of a work. The theme for week 1 was observation. In response to this theme, I produced an involving self-portrait videos using my original portrait, AI-generated image, and observations collected from 20 individuals. I asked 20 people to describe their impression of me. I then used their words and observations to progressively change my portrait, creating a series of different visual versions of myself. By allowing other people to define my appearance through their words, I explored how identity can be constructed through the perceptions, interpretations, and judgments of others. Instead of treating identity as something fixed, I wanted to show it as something that can change depending on how other people see us. A related word is Marina Abramovic within Zero. In this performance, her allowed the audience to interact with her freely, making their actions and perceptions part of the work. This related to my work because I also allowed other people's observations to influence the development of the work. Another related artist is Cindy Sherman, particularly her untitled film stills. Sherman used photography, costume, and performance to construct different identities through her appearance. This related to my works because I also explored how identity can change through external perceptions and interpretation. Next is the theme for week 2 was Tinker. I produced a 1-hour duration drawing performance using paper, drawing materials, randomly select music, and 2 cameras. The cameras document the process for both an external perspective and a first-person perspective. I used meditation to reduce my conscious decision-making. I closed my eyes and allowed randomly selected music to influence the image and sensation that appear in my mind. I then translated this spontaneous mental image directly into drawing without deliberately planning in the final composition. Throughout this process, I experimented with trance, bodily movement, and reduced artistic control. Instead of deciding what the final image should look like, I agreed a set of conditions and allowed the drawing to develop through this process itself. A related word is Yuko Honors Grateful. Honors use simple instructions to create open-ended actions where the final outcome is not completely predetermined. This related to my work because I also created a set of conditions and allowed the final result to emerge through the process. The theme for week 3 was found objects. I produced a working performance using a blank canvas, purchased from an art supply store. I carried the canvas on foot from the store to the gallery. Every 5 steps, I placed a canvas directly onto the ground and then continued walking. Through this repeated action, the canvas gradually collected traces from the different environments along the journey. By doing this, I explored how an ordinary art material could become a record of place through repetition, chance, and environmental traits. Its meaning also changed throughout the journey, from a commercial object in an art supply store to an artwork when it entered the gallery. A related word is Marshall Duson's fountain. Duson transformed an ordinary manufacturing object into an artwork by placing it within an art context. It related to my work because I also changed the meaning of an ordinary object through its movement and context. Another related work is Richard Long's A Line Made by Walking. Long used walking to create a temporary physical trace within a landscape. My work is similarly because I also use walking and repetition to create a relationship between an object and a place it passed through. However, instead of my body leaving the trace, the canvas colored trace from the environment. The theme for week 4 was discussions of place. I produced a performance using a handheld mirror, which I carry with me while participating in a Chinese Valentine's Day matchmaking event. The matchmaking event was a very special place. People came there to meet strangers, look for partners, chat, and observe others. However, carrying the mirror made me feel very self-conscious and awkward. I became less willing to approach people because I was aware that other people were curious about what I was doing. I originally entered the space as someone looking for others, but the mirror unexpectedly made me someone who was being looked at. Instead of simply observing the people around me, I gradually became the focus of their attention. My friends who came with me eventually left the event, so I was left there alone with the mirror. I started sending them messages because I felt at work and wanted them to come back. I included their messages as a part of my process documentation because they showed me a genuine reaction to the situation. This experiment made me realize that the place was not simply a setting for my performance. It also changed my behavior and the way I interact with other people. A related word is Dan Grant's performance audience mirror. He used mirrors to explore the relationship between the performer, audience, and environment. This related to my work because the mirror changed the way I behave in the matchmaking event and shifted me from observation others to being observed by them. Looking back at Folio1, I can see the connection between all 4 weeks. In week 1, I explored how other people's observations could control my identity. In week 2, I reduced my own control and allowed chance to influence the work. In week 3, I explored how an ordinary object could gain new meaning throughout movement, place, and context. In week 4, I brought an object into a social environment and experienced how the place could change my own behavior. Across this work, I became increasingly interested in the relationship between people, objects, environments, chance, and perception. I also found that some of the most interesting results happened when I did not completely control what would happen. The work I found most interesting was looking for someone. It placed me in a real social environment rather than a controlled studio situation. I was not only making a performance, I was also personally affected by the situation. The reactions of other people became part of the work. Going forward, I wanted to continue exploring how ordinary objects can change meaning when they are placed in different environments. I'm also interested in using real situation, participation, chance, and unexpected reactions as part of my creative practice.